What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you my first impressions for Mafia the Old Country, which released yesterday from the time of this video. No review key or anything on this one. I don't get the impression that they sent a lot of them out, actually, though I wasn't really expecting one in either case, as this is honestly a little different than the stuff I usually cover. But Mafia the Old Country puts you in the role of Enzo. Right at the beginning of the 1900s, it starts in 1904, I believe, and then moves on from there. But as Enzo, we are basically going to see the beginnings of the Mafia. After we escape from a mine and a bad situation, only to be saved from impending death by none other than the dawn of a mob. But before I dive into that, as always, a quick note on how this game is running. I have seen some reports of it being bad for some people at the very least, but for me, I would say I've had a few FPS drops. It crashed on me once. I do think that crash might have had more to do with my recording software than the game itself, though. But the FPS drops and the little bit of stuttering that you'll see here and there are pretty par for the course for Unreal Engine titles. So overall, doesn't seem to be horrible, but, definitely could be better for sure. Now, story-wise, as I've already mentioned, Enzo gets involved with the mob or organized crime at the beginnings of 1900s Sicily. So it's also my understanding that this game is meant to be mostly pretty linear, which after a few hours in seems to be the case. It is kind of implied that there will be moments where you can explore a little bit, as they mentioned, like a merchant. You can go drop by and stock up on gear like knives and things. Later you'll get like cars and different types of guns as well, so it does seem like there's going to be at least some exploration, but otherwise it's my understanding this is a relatively short, more linear experience for the most part. Sounds like 15 to 20 hours, give or take, outside of course, doing all the other things. Unsurprisingly then, for a game like that, progression seems to be relatively light. It mostly seems to come down to spending all your ill-gotten gains to upgrade your equipment, like, again, knives, guns, etc. But there's also other things, like outfits you'll be able to swap out on top of your charms, which are effectively like various parts of a rosary that you can equip with various upgrades that can then, of course, give you various effects on like individual gameplay elements. Now, to give an example there are multiple types of knives and each of them has their strengths and weaknesses. In particular, there's this sharpness mechanic you have to deal with, so knives can do things like break locks or, of course, do stealth takedowns, that kind of thing, but the catch there is that comes at the cost of sharpness. Various types of knives have different amounts of sharpness, and this is like one of the things charms could affect as an example. Now, as that does somewhat imply, a significant amount of the gameplay does also seem to be stealth-based. There are more action-oriented sequences as well, but there does seem to be a not insubstantial amount of stealth. Now, this seems to be broken into chapters for the most part, which I know that you can replay through the main menu, and I think there's even an explore mode available there, but I don't have all of the full details just yet. Although probably worth a mention that it also seems to be a substantial amount of knife fights, which are just down to things like light, heavy attacks. You can parry. You can also do things like use different types of knives here to affect this. There's one type of knife that will, if you can pull it off, allow for like a one-hit KO. As for the rest of the gameplay, if you're not engaging in a little exploration and looking for collectibles, a lot of it is either stealth or cover-based shooter. Now, stealth is pretty straightforward. You knock people out or straight up kill them. One of the knives is throwable here. Hide their bodies, just generally try to stay out of sight, the usual stuff. The cover-based shooting, I've only messed around with a couple of the guns so far. I'm hoping for a wide variety there, but given that it's the beginning of the 1900s, I'm not exactly expecting the world either. But so far I've seen things like a shotgun, a repeater, a pistol, the things you would expect for the time period, basically. Now, I will say I have been playing on hard, so everything you see on screen here is the hard difficulty mode, which, thus far doesn't seem too bad, mostly just seems to increase the damage you take. And while something else adjusts with the difficulty, it also seems to be independent of it, which is a strengthened version of aim assist. Like, you can basically have a snap aim turned on or off, and you can even set it to follow enemies after it snaps to them. So if you need help with your aim, you can definitely get it done that way. But so far, that seems to be the bulk of the experience. Now, for me at least, I would say the main draw here really seems to be the story. The characters, the voice acting, obviously the interactions with the various facets of organized crime, including helping the people that are paying you protection money, and the other various illicit activities you can get up to. But so far, there's a lot of really great characters here, and I think the story is probably going to be the main draw for this one, mostly because gameplay-wise, it's not bad or anything. I'd say it's just a little run-of-the-mill. But as far as first impressions go, that's pretty much where I'm at with it. I am enjoying it so far, and I think for me, I'll be keeping an eye out for any more technical problems that happen to show up, any variety to the gameplay that happens, and obviously if the story can keep pace throughout the entirety of the experience. But so far, between all that stuff, the beautiful visuals, I am having a pretty good time, which I think is about as good a place as any, really, to wrap up this particular video. I'm not exactly sure how long the 100% will take on this. There's some collectible stuff there that is going to have to get figured out, and given the relatively limited information going into this one, that might take me a little while, but I also have some other stuff I'd like to actually finish at some point, so at the absolute longest, I'd imagine a couple of weeks, but hopefully a bit sooner than that. Now, if you're looking forward to the review, by all means, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. Let me know how you feel about this one down in the comment section below, but regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.